Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Brian. If you're familiar with some of my past videos, you'll likely have an idea of some of the things that I've shared, some of my perspectives, and things of that nature. It's been a while since I've made any videos, and it's mostly been because I've been in a process of trying to integrate and ground new perspectives. And one thing I have realized is that while I was able to share many perspectives, it wasn't necessarily coming from a grounded place where, and by grounding, I mean specifically allowing an understanding or a perspective to inform all aspects of your life. And there's been a lot of things that I've been working to ground. But one of the most important things to me is a new perspective on the mortality of all things. And I just want to preface this by saying at one point, when I first kind of started to discover this identity behind the veil that is often defined as emptiness or absolute void, I kept coming to this conclusion of nothing exists. Death isn't real, right? And if you can't die, then you can't ever truly be alive. Therefore, there's really nothing to mourn in the sense of a finite expression. And that was kind of how I approached it at first, because that was the perspective that was shown to me. And that is true from a particular perspective. You can think of all things, events, people. These are like thoughts of this underlying identity that is all things. Each thing, person, or event expresses itself just like a thought. And just like a thought, it returns to where it came, and it is continually expressed again and again in new and different forms. And so that is somewhat of a liberating perspective. You can kind of approach your life from this perspective and try to not become so attached to all of the things that we cherish and love. But see, that's the thing, is you are not just this underlying identity, the absolute, or the only one who's always existed. Like, that's not your only identity here. You have chosen to take the form of each and everything that has ever existed or will ever exist, and it all exists simultaneously. So, is the current perspective that you hold is a valid expression of this underlying identity, is whoever you find yourself to be right now. And so that's who you are as well. You are both of these simultaneously. And the key isn't to ignore or to erase the person that you find yourself to be, such in my case, Brian, right? I don't want to erase who I am. I don't want to deny or ignore who I am. But what I do want to do is I want to approach my life with the understanding that each of these two perspectives is valid and equal. There is a balancing of the scales that needs to take place with both of these perspectives. And so from that, I have to validate and understand that all things that we love and cherish, every single thing is going to end. There is nothing in this world that will not be lost. And that's something that I feel like I understood, but I never really accepted. Have you really stopped and really thought about everything that you have, everything that you love, all of the relationships and all of the people, all of the pets that you treasure? Have you really thought and understood and accepted that this isn't going to be here forever? Like me personally, I didn't do that. I chose to kind of lean into this understanding of all things are like thoughts. None of them really exist to begin with. There's nothing to mourn here. But you're denying the beauty of this experience of impermanence and being finite, right? There's beauty in understanding the mortality of all things. And it's only by understanding the mortality of all things in our lives that we can really approach our lives with a newfound understanding of what is important. What's really important in your life? And I will say, before I really had this aha moment of seeing the mortality of all things and feeling that underlying feeling of loss and grief and dread, and just trying to wrap my mind around, oh, I'm going to lose this person one day. Like, they're not going to be here. I'm going to lose this pet that I cherish so much. And I think we all know that, but I think most people live in denial of that. And by living in denial of the mortality of all things, we are choosing to not discover what is really important and what really matters in this life. And I've discovered that it's only by allowing yourself to ground this understanding of the mortality of all things in every aspect that you do. It's only from that level of integration that you can truly discover what is important, what really matters, what makes life fulfilling, what makes life meaningful. And while you can see from this higher perspective that all things are like thoughts, and there's nothing to mourn from this perspective, but you are not just this underlying intelligence, you are each and everything experiencing a finite existence. It's only natural that you would feel a sense of loss or fear or dread at the idea of losing the things that you love and cherish, the things that you rely on. And that's something that I've been learning myself. And I've realized the things I thought were important weren't important whatsoever. And I feel a little bit sad, I think, that it took me so long to realize this. But in reality, this is something that most people don't discover until it is already too late. It's only when they are faced with their own mortality that they can truly see and understand what was really important all along. And that's one of the things that I really want to convey here, is that this is a lesson you will learn. Either way, you will learn this. And you can either learn it through grace, or you can choose to learn it through a level of suffering, where you are confronted with your own mortality and forced to accept this. And it's up to you, right? There's no wrong way to do this. Everything is neutral. So from this underlying perspective of unity, all things are neutral. There is no preference one way or the other. And that's kind of where the ego comes in and allows the aspect of the self to choose what it most likes or what it most represents or identifies with. And that in and of itself is part of your free will. And so there's no wrong way to go about learning this, but you will learn this one way or another. And I know me personally, when I'm lying on my deathbed, assuming this is something I experience, right? We never know when we can go. It could go suddenly and we might not have this moment of reflection. But assuming I'm on my deathbed, I want to feel gratitude in knowing that I knew what was important in my life, that I knew what to cherish, that I knew what was important to me. And I want to feel good about the gratitude that I expressed along the way, and knowing that each and everything I did was grounded in this perspective of what truly matters. I don't want to be on my deathbed regretting that I just now discovered what was really important. And I think that's one of the things that I really want to convey with you all today. And it's something that I think is a lifelong endeavor. You can understand this intellectually, but to truly embody this, it's something that takes time. And I will say I have embodied this to a much greater degree, but it's never a finished thing. There's always more to do. And so this is a perspective that I'm still integrating and embodying as of this moment, as of now. It's something that I have to work to remind myself. So when I start worrying about finances, when I start worrying about paying my bills, or all of these things that my ego wants to tell me are so important, when I take a step back and remind myself that, hey, everything I love and cherish, it's not going to be here forever. Like, it's going to leave me. And it's by aligning myself with that understanding, by gently reaffirming myself, that I can guide myself back to what's truly important. And I realize that all the things that I really thought were important are completely meaningless. They're not meaningful at all. And so that's one of the things that I really wanted to share with you here today. And I hope that this can inspire some sort of contemplation or some sort of thought experiment within yourself. And, you know, it's a hard thing to accept, honestly. Like, it's not easy to do. And I think it's something most people avoid. We live in a society where people ignore the fact that they are going to die. And we live life as if we're never going to die. We live in a society where we have made this a taboo topic. It's taboo to even speak of such things. And how can you truly live a life that's in alignment How can you truly understand what's important without allowing this understanding of mortality to inform all aspects of your life? And from my perspective, you can't, right? There's no wrong way to do this. You don't have to choose to embody this understanding of mortality here and now. You can wait until you are on your deathbed. But I just want you to really ask yourself, is that how I want to learn this lesson? How do I want to feel when I'm leaving this world and I'm moving on to a new experience? And so that's what I'm going to leave you here with today. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope this was helpful, and I hope I will see you in the next video. As always, I love you guys. See you next time.